Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a really fascinating question. How did the wife of Israel's prime minister become one of the most polarizing figures in the entire country? Okay, picture this. Dozens of riot police, a city in chaos, all to rescue the prime minister's wife from a hair salon. It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this was real life, March 2023 in Tel Aviv. Hundreds of anti-government protesters got wind that Sara Netanyahu was inside this high-end salon. So what did they do? They swarmed the place, trapping her inside for hours. So you have to ask yourself, how does a trip to the hairdresser turn into a massive police rescue operation? Why has Sara Netanyahu become such a lightning rod for public anger? It's a huge question, and that's what we're going to break down today. So to really get what happened at that salon, we've got to go back a bit. We need to understand who Sara Netanyahu is, beyond all the crazy headlines. So her name at birth was Sarah Ben Artsy, and before she ever stepped into the political spotlight, she had a pretty interesting career path. I mean, she was a flight attendant, she was a reporter for a teen magazine, and eventually she became an educational and career psychologist, which is still her profession today. She married Benjamin Netanyahu way back in 1991, so she's been right there with him for all of his terms as prime minister, and he's the longest-serving one in Israel's history. Publicly, she's known for her charity work, especially helping kids with cancer and special needs. But as you're about to see, her public life has been, well, let's just say it's been anything but quiet. Yeah, because for all the charity work, her time in the spotlight has really been defined by something else. A seemingly endless series of controversies, scandals, and legal fights. Let's start with a big one. It all centers around this number, $100,000. That's the amount of public funds she was accused of using to order these fancy gourmet meals from celebrity chefs. And the real kicker? The official residence already had a full-time cook. So you can imagine how that looked. This story plus other allegations about accepting expensive gifts. We're talking pink champagne, jewelry. It all fueled this public image of, crazy extravagance. It's actually what earned her the nickname Israel's Marie Antoinette. And look, this wasn't just gossip or media hype. This catering affair, as it was called, ended with an actual criminal conviction. In 2019, she took a plea deal, admitted to a lesser charge, and had to pay a fine to the state. So this moved way past just accusations into a legal fact. But it's not just about spending public money. There's this whole other pattern of controversy that has followed her for years. It involves her staff. We've seen multiple lawsuits from former household employees who have accused her of creating a hostile, even abusive work environment. And again, these weren't just claims that went nowhere. In 2016, a court ordered her to pay about 170,000 shekels in damages to a former housekeeper. The judge's ruling was pretty clear. The court found that she had created an abusive work environment. So we've got the spending, we've got the staff issues, but there's another, maybe even bigger criticism. It's this idea that her influence goes way beyond personal matters and right into the heart of politics, far beyond what you'd expect from a prime minister's spouse. Officially, her role is pretty ceremonial, supporting her husband, charitable work. But according to former aides and officials who have spoken out, she's actually a major power player behind the scenes. They claim she has a say in who gets top government jobs and that she's one of her husband's key political confidants. And here's maybe the most incredible example of this. A retired general actually testified that when he was up for the job of the prime minister's military secretary, a super sensitive position, Sara Netanyahu herself interviewed him for 45 minutes. Now, the Netanyahus have always denied she oversteps like this, but it's these kinds of stories that have really cemented this idea of her having huge behind-the-scenes power. Okay, so when you put all this together, the spending scandals, the lawsuits, the accusations of political influence, you end up with two totally competing narratives about who she is. And this is the key to understanding why that hair salon became a flashpoint. On one side, you have her supporters. They see a loyal wife and mother who is the victim of a nasty, politically driven witch hunt by the media. But on the other side, you have her critics. And to them, she's not a victim at all. She's a symbol of everything they're protesting against: privilege, greed, and being completely out of touch. They don't see her as a private citizen. They see her as a political figure, plain and simple. And that's why we end up back at the salon. For the protesters on the street that day, she wasn't just some person getting her hair done. She was a powerful symbol of the very government they were trying to bring down. Seeing her there, in that moment, Well, it just became the perfect focus for all of their anger. In the end, this whole story about Sara Netanyahu really leaves us with a much bigger, more complicated question. It's something that, pretty much every democracy deals with. Where do you draw the line? When does the spouse of a political leader stop being a private person and become a public figure and fair game for this kind of protest? It's a tough one, and there's really no easy answer.